Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I am Kendall Howell. I am the Customer Success Manager with Blocksi. Thank you all so much for your time and interest in our Blocksi solution. Just a few light housekeeping before we get started. I will have everyone on mute as I'm going to present and demo some of the solutions all the way through. If you have any questions, please enter them into the questions box on the webinar panel. So at the end of the presentation, I will go over all of the questions and answer those. Also, to set expectations for this webinar, for any existing customers that are joining us today, thank you for being here. This is not a full training of the entire dashboard, but rather to highlight a few powerful tools in our Blocksi solution that can help to solve the challenges that we're facing during the distance and hybrid learning period. If you would like to schedule a further deep dive, please reach out to your Blocksi account manager to schedule a training session. If you are not yet a customer and are interested in Blocksi and would like to see a full solution demo, please feel free to reach out to me to schedule this. My contact information is listed here, and at the end of the webinar, I will also pull this slide back up so you can have my contact information. All right, so let's get started. With the COVID pandemic, as you all know, the learning environment has drastically transformed, and with the majority of districts having to adapt to hybrid learning environments, meaning some of the learning happening at school while some of the learning happens at home, there can be a lot of challenges with this. So teachers are going to need the tools to accommodate. With Blocksi video conferencing, coupled with our classroom management, we are able to address those challenges, which I will show you here. First, I would like to demonstrate our assessment mode. So this allows our teachers to have secure testing environments. There is only one login as the students are automatically enrolled, so there's no external link to share or separate login. All they have to do is log into their device using their school ID, and they are automatically in the class and you can perform any functionality, assessments, video conferencing right here from your teacher dashboard in one tool. So when you click into a class, this is what you see. I'm going to go ahead and start this class. So I am student 003 on my Chromebook as a demonstration. So right off the bat, you can see all of the screens, you can see what's going on, you see all of the tabs that they have open. For the assessment mode, what this does is we have the presets for assessments. So we have, BrainPop, Canvas, Nearpod, Google Forms, Schoology, a lot of different assessment modes here. For the demonstration right now, I'm going to use Google Forms as an example. So what I'm going to do is create a Google form, and then I'm going to copy that URL, paste that URL into this assessment mode. I'm going to confirm that and push that out. So what takes effect on that student Chromebook, it locks down everything on that device except for that Google form. So you can see that I had tabs open as the student and those were automatically closed. Now all I have is the assessment that the teacher pushed out. So to give you a more live view of that, I'm going to stream my device here and make this bigger for you. So with this assessment mode, I can see, okay, I'm going to try to open up and go to Amazon, for example. When I try to do that, you see here that I am locked down to that Google form. So I'm not able to go anywhere else, access anything, open anything. I am securely locked down to this assessment. With that as well, you also have your video conferencing. So what this does is allow you to see the student, but also see and manage what they're doing. So there's two different options with the conferencing mode. We have the dominant speaker layout as well as the tile layout. With dominant speaker layout, which I will show you first. This is where it is the teacher and the student one-on-one. So the teacher is seeing the student, the teacher is seeing just one student at a time. As well, the student is only seeing the teacher in dominant speaker mode. So they are not seeing their other peers. What's happening here is I am the teacher. It pops up as a small window in the bottom right-hand corner of the student's Chromebook. They will see me as the teacher. They can maximize that, make that full screen. They can minimize that and continue to work on what they're doing. So right here, I am seeing student 003. I'm also seeing that student 003 is in fact on the assessment. So they are on task, they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I can see from this view here that it's not mom or dad or an older brother or older sister taking this assessment. It is in fact the correct student that should be taking that test. If I click this arrow here, I see all of my students in the class. So you can switch and go to a different student. Obviously, since I'm the only student in this class, the other cameras are not on because there's no other student in this class. But if you had, of course, other students in the class, you would be able to switch back and forth with those students and see them one at a time. You also have the ability to control their audio options. So you can mute all. You can also see here that on each individual towel, there is an audio function where you can have one student at a time or a few individuals at a time that are allowed to speak. So just by clicking the audio button for that individual student, you can allow them to speak, but not the rest of your class. As well, there is a feature on the student's Chromebook where they can raise their hand. So you can see here that the student is raising their hand. So this way, if they're muted and they have a question or they are requesting to speak, you can be notified. So I can see that the student's hand is raised, so then I can unmute the student. As well as the teacher, you're going to have all of your audio and video options here that you can control. So of course you can turn your webcam off if you need to, or you can turn your audio off if you need to. The student on their Chromebooks, they are having these same controls. So they have to turn their webcam on to be seen. This is in compliance with student privacy laws. So as soon as the conference is initiated, again, they don't have to log in to another login. They don't have to click on an external link. The conference is automatically initiated and pops up immediately automatically on their screen. All they have to do is toggle this from the red default to the green, and then you will be able to see the student. Okay, so that's going to be your dominant speaker layout. Now I'm going to show you the tile layout version. With the tile layout, this is going to be more of what you see in like Zoom or Google Meets if you're using those platforms. It's going to be the version here. So you're going to, the teacher is going to see all of the students in their class. They're also going to see, just to give you a better view of the tile version, if I had more students in my class during this time period, this is what it would look like. So you would see the tiles of every single student on one painted glass there. With this, you can also have those same audio and webcam functions for you as the teacher, as well as the class. In the tile mode, the peers can see each other and they can see the teacher. And then of course, you as the teacher can see all of the students at one time. You can mute them all. You can have them unmuted. So it is a, virtual classroom basically. So everybody can speak and be heard at one time. If you don't want them speaking over each other, you can mute the entire class and then you will have those individual audio functions here that is going to make it easy for you to go in and allow one student to speak or a few individuals to speak. In this mode, they also have the raise hand function. So if they're muted and they choose to raise their hand, you can see that they're requesting to speak so that you can change their audio functions there. While you have this mode, you also are able to manage your classroom. So you're able to see that student 003 is taking the assessment that I pushed out, and I can see, in fact, it is student 003 that is taking the test. All right. You're also going to have your breakout rooms within the conference. So you can create groups here. You would just create a new group. I already have groups assigned. So I have my reading group, my math group, and my history group. You have the option here to start the conference for the specific group. So I can do it just with my reading group. Or I have the option here to start all breakout rooms. So that will mean all the groups that I've created, my reading group, my math group, and my history group, I can start all of those at once. You will see here that all the breakout rooms are listed that I've created. As the teacher, I can connect into my reading group here. So I can have a breakout room with my reading group. I can also switch back and forth. If I need to go into the math group as the teacher, I can connect into my math group. And then that's going to initiate where I am in the math group, and then so on and so forth with any types of groups you have. So I could go on to history group. So I could pop back and forth into these breakout rooms, but I can have those breakout rooms going all at the same time. So if I click this arrow here, I see all the students listed in my reading group. They're in a breakout video conferencing working separate to my math group. I click my math group, I see all my students in my math group, and then I click on my history group and see the students in my history group. And as the teacher, again, I can go back in and I can pop into the reading group, I can pop into the math group, I can pop into the history group. So there's different ways for the breakout rooms. What's really great about our Blocksi solution compared to like Zoom or Google Meets, for instance. I know a lot of you probably heard about the Zoom bombing where it was hacked, and you know, that goes alongside not, you know, since Zoom is a commercial entity and it's not designed specifically for the K-12 environment, that is a little concerning there. So with our platform, all of our video conferencing abide by the student privacy laws. Everything is integrated into one platform. So your teachers only have to manage one platform. So they don't have to switch back and forth between a bunch of different platforms and keep up with everything. They can do all of the necessities by managing their class, monitoring their class, keeping their kids on track. They can see the child that is taking the test while also make sure that kid is actively doing something on their Chromebook. So they're not just putting up a conference and meanwhile that kid is watching Netflix and you don't know what's going on in the Chromebook. You can see the student, but you don't know their activity, for instance, if you're using something else. With Blocksi, you can make sure that they're on task and it is in fact that student. So you can continue that education there. As well, we have reporting. So we have all of the insights, what was going on per class session. So what that looks like is you will see all of the activity. You'll see the websites that were visited during the class, how many times they went to those websites, if it was allowed, if it was blocked. You'll see this pie chart here that breaks down where most of the time is being spent, if it's on education, shopping, gaming, sports, that type of thing. You'll see any installed, if they installed any or apps extensions during your class, you will have that reporting. You'll also have your list of students here on the right-hand side. So if you need to click on a specific student and just see that student's information, you can do that. You'll also see the search engine queries. So anything that they type into the search engine during your class, you will see all of those queries. You also have ways to filter through your data. So if I hit the magnifying glass there, you can see that I can search by user. So I can type their email or their name here and search for a user that way. I can also do like actions. So if I just want to see the blocked activity for that class session here, I can filter through that. So there's lots of different ways that you can filter to find exactly what you're looking for. You're also going to have YouTube analytics. So any YouTube video that was visited during your class, we'll have a list here of your allowed videos and the blocked videos. So all you have to do is click this button, this red play button here on the thumbnail. It will bring up the actual video. So that way you'll be able to see exactly the videos that the students accessed. For all of the blocked videos, that is going to be where the student tried to access the videos they did not get through, but you as the teacher can see the exact video that they tried to view. And then you're going to have your logs. So that's going to be your deeper reporting here. This is going to be where you have your date, the timestamp, the exact user, the exact URL. You'll see if it was allowed, if it was blocked. You'll see the class policy that was on during the time. You'll see the location, if it was in school or out of school. All of this information you can export as a CSV file, or you have the ability to download this as a PDF. This is going to help you keep accountability. It can help you track attendance as well, so you can see all of the students. If they were logged in that day, you'll see all of their activity. If you need to retrieve any of the insights from previous class sessions, you just go back to your main page on the teacher dashboard, and each class has this orange button here, and that is a class history of your classes. So if I click on this for biology, I can see all the sessions that I've ran within Blocksi, and all of my analytics for those classes will be housed there. Okay. There are also a lot of different features within the teacher dashboard that you can use while you're using the video conferencing. You're able to do different functions like freeze their screens. You're able to share and enforce all the content. You can message and engage with your students. You can share your screen. So as the teacher, I can choose to share my entire screen, an application window, or a Chrome tab, and it doesn't matter the device you as the teacher are on. So if I share that, what that's going to do is it's going to lock my student down to my screen. So they cannot exit what I'm sharing. They cannot go anywhere else. They are forced to look at the teacher screen. So this is good for, if you're showing PowerPoints or showing how to navigate through different sites, and you want the the students to be able to see what you're doing. This is a great tool for that. And on that same token, you can also pick up a specific student and share that student screen with the rest of the class. So by doing this, let's say Johnny did a problem really well, and you want the rest of the class to see how Johnny did it, you can pick up Johnny's screen, share it with the entire class, and then they will be locked into Johnny's screen and see everything in real time what Johnny is doing. So lots of different powerful tools here within the teacher dashboard, but the main components that are really going to help out is going to be this assessment mode here that I first started out with at the very beginning. So that's going to be where you have your different assessments that you can lock them down. We also have web apps, so lots of different web apps here that you can put down, that you can choose from and push out for the assessment modes. You can also create your own environments. So if you have something specifically that we don't have a preset for, you can always add it. So if I take, let's see, we'll do CNN, for instance. If you want to lock them down to a specific environment, you can put on the left-hand side the entire URL. And then on the right-hand side, you can whitelist the domain, which is cnn.com. I can push that out. It's going to close down everything that they have open previously and just allow them to go on CNN. So again, if I try to open a tab and go somewhere else, like Amazon, for instance, I will see here it's a very small view, but it will show me that the only link I'm allowed to go to at that time is cnn.com. All right. You can also, if you create different environments, you can save those presets. So you can push out as many environments at one time or assessments at one time that you would like. If you create your own environments here, you can save those to a preset. So the next time that you come in to do an assessment, you can choose from the list that you've created. That way you don't have to remember each of the environments or type this in every single time. You can just pull from a list here. As well, administrators are able to create these environments and share them with their teachers so that the teachers can pull from a list that the admin has already created, and it will automatically populate for them. Again, just to reiterate, the assessment mode can be going while you're having your video conferencing with the two different layouts. You have the dominant speaker layout, which is one-to-one with the teacher and student. You have your tile mode where you can see all of your students and the students can see each other. And then you have breakout rooms that you can create different groups to have video conferencing with just the specific students together. All right, I'm going to open it up and check out the questions panel. I'm going to review all of the questions and go over those. Also, if you want to enter in the question or chat box, if you would like to see something again, I'll be happy to go over anything you would like to see a repeat of. All right, my first question is from Ginger. Are you going to make a recording of this session available? Yes, this webinar is being recorded and I will convert that recording and email all of the participants with that recording. Jake Neary asked, are you limited to only those third-party websites on assessment mode? We use an assessment tool called Edulastic. Was wondering if it would be possible to use that website with assessment mode. So yes, let me see if Edulastic is one of the presets here on the web apps. So that is something that you can populate here. And to coincide with your question, Jake, you can also create your own environment. So if there is something that is not listed here on the assessment or the web apps as a preset, you can always enter it here by putting the entire URL on the left-hand side for enforced URLs, and then on the right-hand side, just list the domain. So edpuzzle, and just close it with an asterisk. So you can create any type of environment to use for assessments. It doesn't matter what it is. We just have some of the most popular web apps here available to easily click into, and then it will populate for you. All right, Steve asked, if you have students in breakout rooms, how do they switch rooms as a group? For instance, if a teacher regularly has centers set up, could she send all of the reading breakout to the math breakout and vice versa? So when you do the breakout rooms, the students that are defined in those rooms are the only ones that are in that breakout room together. If you need to have them all together, you would have to create a group where they're all together and merged together, or you would just use the video conferencing tool as a class-wide if you want them all to be together at one time. So there's no switch to merge them, but you can have different groups for, if you know, for instance, you have your math group and your students in that, you have your reading group and your students in that. If you want them to merge together, you could go ahead and create a third group that would be reading and math combined and add those students in there and then just initiate the conference that way. I hope that answered your question there. Okay. Mike asked, I know we discussed this, but do you have any tools for iPads? So we are in early beta testing with iPads. So currently we do not have a solution for iPads. We are working on that. With iPads, once we make that solution go live, it will be more of a blanket filtering. It won't have as many capabilities as the Windows and Google platforms, but there will be similar tools for iPads in the future. I don't have an exact ETA on that because it's still in early beta testing, but we will let everyone know once we go live with that. All right, thank you, Jake. And then Mike said, so any assessment creation happens outside of this product, correct? Any assessment creation happens outside of the product, correct? So basically, you would create all of your assessments in your third party. So in any of the web apps, you would go ahead and create your assessments through those third parties. And you would use Blocksi as a way to push out those third parties or those external links, like I showed you from Google Forms, for instance. I would pick up a Google form, create that form. I would then copy that URL of the Google form, paste that into the assessment mode here, and then I could push out a specific Google form. So let me delete the rest of these. Okay. And then my form is pushed out and that student is locked in to that specific Google form. So you do create your assessments with your third parties. Blocksi is the way that you push out and make sure that they are locked down to those specific assessments or specific third party environments. That way they cannot open up another tab and go somewhere else to find the answers, for example. All right, Enoch, in the tile mode, can you see screen and student space at the same time? In the tile mode, can you see screen? Yes, so with the tile mode, I will launch that. So it launches here. So your students, and then you are also having your dashboard where you can see their screen. So if they're taking a test, for instance, I can see that they are on this Google form that I pushed out, student 003, and I can also see student 003 space actively taking the assessment. All right, next question. Are the classes populated from SIS or LMS? So the way that we roster, you can roster through Clever, you can roster through ClassLink, or you can use Google Classroom. So let me go back here to the main teacher dashboard page. So you can import your classes through Google Classroom here. And then the fifth way would be to use the manual setup. So you would create your class. You can add your students one by one, or you can use each class once you create it. So you would just give it a name, enter the duration of that class. Once that class is created, each class will have a unique code here, and you can have the students go to Blocksi.net, hit login, and they will be prompted to enter this code one time only. Once they enter that code, they are put into that specific class for the rest of the year. So they won't have to enter that code every time, just one time only, and it places that student in there. So there are several different ways that you can roster your classes. All right, Robert, can you show the student view looks like for the breakout rooms? So I can't show you from my Chromebook what that looks like, but I can tell you that when you do the breakout rooms, it's basically like a tile version. If you have, let's say, 4 students in a group, all 4 students will see each other on one window. So just like the teacher view in the tile mode, the student will see the same thing. They'll see all of their peers in a tile version, and then they will also be able to, minimize something and work on something else. They can maximize that screen, or they can make it half size. So it's basically the same view from the teacher tile version as what the kids are seeing as well. All right, Mike said, can a district supervisor observe a teacher classroom? So we do have the ability here. It's also coming on the principal dashboard as well, where you can add where different administrators can view different classes going on. But for right now, we have it where there's this teachers option here. If you click on teachers, you can add a second teacher, or for your case, a district supervisor can be added as a second teacher to monitor and observe only. All right, Chris, can you record the teacher teaching a lesson and then make the recorded lesson available for students who missed that lesson? Yes, you absolutely can. On the conference mode here, let me start my class first. When you go to initiate the conference, you have this option here to enable conference recording. So if you just check that box, it will record the session. After the session, you can retrieve those recordings by going back to your teacher dashboard, main page here. You'll have conference recordings here, so that will be the recordings for all of your classes. If you just want to see the recordings for a specific class, each of those recordings for that class specifically will be held under here, and this is where the teacher can download, save it, and share it with the students that missed that lesson, for instance. All right. Chuck asks, can chat sessions be saved for a specific class? That has been a feature request that has been added, so that is in the works. We will have that soon. Currently, you cannot record chat history, but that's been asked by several districts, so that is coming very soon. Enoch, during a test, you want to see both the screen and the student's face at the same time for the entire class. Is that possible in a whole class view? This would be the proctor's view. So the only way you see is what I showed. So you have the window that pops out for the conference. That's all of the students. So you can see the students in that view. And then if you go back to your dashboard, you can see their screens of what they're on. All right, Mike asked, that would be a huge help for us. Great, Mike. Robert, can you do a breakout room on the fly, or does it all need to be set up ahead of time? So you do have to set up your breakout rooms ahead of time, and you would do that through the group functionality. So if I'm here, I would click the group and set up my groups. You can do this at any point. So on the fly, if you need to add your students into here and then start your breakout room, you can do that pretty quickly, but this is the way to initiate that. All right, Carlin asked, if teachers have multiple breakout groups going at the same time, are they able to monitor all of the groups at the same time, or are they only able to monitor when they connect the group? You have to connect the groups. So as the teacher, you switch from group to group. You can pop in and out at any time, but you do have to connect with the group as they're going. So the breakout rooms can be all going at one time, but you as the teacher can only be in one breakout room at a time. But of course, you can switch as much as you need to, back and forth very seamlessly. Enoch, can Blocksi take a screenshot of face screen every 10 or 15 seconds during a test that teachers could go back and view later to look for instances of teaching? Students could try to have a cell phone outside of camera view to circumvent the video conferencing. We are looking into different solutions that can help with this. As of right now, these are the tools that are given to help with that. Of course, we're constantly updating the platform. We have a forward-thinking group of engineers that are taking into account all of the circumstances. So in the future, of course, we will continue to update our platform. Enoch again asks, if students need to turn on video during video conferencing, can they turn off the video and refuse to show their face during a test while they are cheating? Yes, so they have the option to turn their camera on and off. At that point, the teacher would have to be the one to say, all right, if you turn your camera off, your test is null and void. Your test does not count. So you would have to enforce it that way, because based on student privacy laws, we have to, that has to be in the hands of the students to be able to share their webcam. All right, Matthew asked, what is recorded during a conference session? Just the teacher or the student screens as well? So it's the entire session, so it will be the teacher and the students that you will see as well for the recorded session. All right. So that is all of the questions I have at this moment. I am going to put back on the screen my contact information. If you need to reach out and schedule a further deep dive, if you would like to see a full demo of our solution, if you need to set up a training, if you're an existing customer, please feel free to reach out to your Blocksi account manager to schedule that. And I really do appreciate everyone's time. This session has been recorded. I will convert that over and send out to all of the attendees for this webinar very shortly. So you will see that in your inbox by this evening. Thank you again, and look forward to hearing from you.